Hey Bear Buddies, thanks for joining me for Volume 39 of Furberries Fables. This volume is a continuation from Volume 37, Home, by Alexhix, so if you haven't watched that one yet, I would strongly recommend you go back and watch Volume 37 before continuing on with this video. Today's story is Back Home, by Alexhix19. Nothing better than waking up before your alarm. They say there's no better alarm than the sunshine, and I agree. I was extremely surprised the nightmare I had didn't disrupt my sleep. I'm prone to sleep paralysis, so I would have imagined such a horrific dream of a horde of corpse-looking senior citizens would have caused a paralysis episode. Feeling grateful the dream had passed and the sun was nice and warm on my face, I decided it was the perfect day to take the girlfriend for an ice cream at the beach. I got out of bed and immediately felt lightheaded. I stumbled and bumped into a nightstand, but didn't feel a thing. Surprise turned to curiosity as I looked around to find I wasn't in my room. To further perpetuate my surprise, I found I had not bumped into the nightstand so much as I now stood knee-deep in the wooden bedroom accessory. Surprise turned to horror as I surveyed my surroundings. The dull brown walls seemed to scream at me, taunting me, trapping me. I was pulled from my thoughts by the sounds of shouting and laughter. I turned slowly towards the source of the noise, and my heart sank. I saw the swarm of spirits flocked around a bed, in which I saw myself sitting up, looking at my hands in amazement, and laughing like a maniac. I was standing in a nightstand while my body was in a bed. It wasn't a dream. The nightmare was in fact flashbacks of what had happened. As I moved towards the rotting crowd of spirits, fragments of what happened flooded back to me. I remembered being surrounded by skeletal flesh falling off the bone spirits, and making a concerted effort to burst through them and get to my car and get the hell out of this place. Another flashback hit almost immediately after the remembrance of being surrounded, and I recall that it felt like a fight was occurring within my body. The memory brought with it a hot flash of pain that I can only describe as my soul being torn to pieces. That must have been my spirit fighting whatever asshole fought his way to the front of the queue to get the chance to have my body. I saw my body get up and do a few jumping jacks while the moaning crowd of old spirits surrounded him. Before I could permeate the crowd and reach with my body, he was gone. I looked around the crowd and saw my grandma's essence, a jaunt skeleton melting into the crowd of ghouls. Some ghouls were worse than others. The most grotesque had no teeth with black gums lining his mouth, an empty eye socket and a milky coating over his one good eye. A few lonely strands of hair atop his rotting head and sores and welts covered the skin that was still attached to the bone and uncovered. I immediately moved as far away from the abomination as I could to think what I could do. My nervous tic came to light and I bit my nail. It was something I had done since I was a child when under stress, and it always brought me relief. Not this time. As I pulled my mouth away, I felt a slight tug on my finger and looked down to discover I had not bitten my nail, but pulled the whole nail completely off. Panicked, I started to scream, and my ethereal legs gave out on me. Sitting on the floor of this damned purgatory, I slowly came to realize I was trapped forever. As the stark realization set in, I heard a croak from above me. It was an old woman, in terrible condition as were all the other spirits. Her gumless mouth flapped as she began to talk, her eyes lifeless and glazed over. "You don't have much time until your spirit decays, Sonny. Once the soul has been ripped from the body, it's an unnatural act, and so both will rot to nothing to restore order." "Why? Why did you all do this to me?" I shrieked at her. No one knows how it started, but one of the first residents read a book of the occult some kid left behind after a visit. The book apparently had information on how to overpower another soul and claim the vessel. So after the first chap did it, the knowledge was passed down to all us residents. "But why take someone's body? You've lived your life. It's selfish and evil," I spouted at her. "A lot of us get dumped here and never get to see our families, never get a last hug, never get to eat an ice cream for the last time. So although the vessel doesn't last long once we possess it, it gives us the chance to do one last thing we've always wanted to do. Be that saying goodbye or smoking a cigarette. But what now? Am I stuck here forever? How long until I disintegrate to nothing?" I asked. "You are bound to these grounds, yes, Your best bet would be to get your vessel before he reaches the car and drives away. You have a stronger tether to your body, and so it will be easier for you to reclaim it, she informed me. How do I reclaim my vessel was my next question. The same way he claimed yours. When he speaks and looks directly at you, glide into his soul. The eyes are the window to the soul, after all. There will be a fight, but the stronger spirit will push the weaker one out. I started running before the last of her words left her mouth. As I entered the car park, I saw myself glance back, give a little nod, and enter my car. Within seconds, the tires were screeching and my body was gone. I didn't know how much time I had left, but my fingernail falling off was not a good sign. As I turned to leave the car park and wander the doomed yard, I heard a car driving up the driveway. As it neared me, I looked in and saw a picturesque family, eagerly chatting away in the car. Another family had come to drop off an elder member, not knowing they were condemning her to an unimaginable hell. For the first time since I had visited this home, I felt a flicker of hope as an idea came to mind. A young boy bounced out the back seat to help dear old grandma out of the car. I knew how to take a vessel with the knowledge the old hag had passed down to me. This was my chance to get a new vessel and track down my old one. Hopefully I could switch vessels and give that guy the kid and get my body back so the natural order of my existence will be normalized. I just have to get the kid first. And kid, please forgive me for what I'm about to do. Hey Bear Buddies, thanks again for joining me for this volume of Furberries Fables. If you liked it and you want to support my work further, you can find a link below to my Patreon account as well as my merch store. Thanks again for listening. Have a great day.